This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Tuesday, April 7th. First up, YouTube's new features are the antithesis of Netflix's second screen problem. One of YouTube's newly announced features is named Stations, acting as the platform's answer to 24/7 programming channels found on free ad-supported streaming TV or FAST platforms like Tubi and Pluto TV. Stations will debut with cover of this year's Coachella Festival. TV Companion will be a new system in which a user's phone detects what is playing on a user's TV and allows them to interact with comments, control playback, and, quote, dive deeper into content without missing a beat, end quote. YouTube has also announced Ask, its video-specific chatbot currently available on desktop and mobile devices, is coming to smart TVs with added voice control functionality. Next up, why haven't sports podcasts taken off in Latin America yet? Genuina Media co-founder and CEO David R. González says despite sports podcasting's success in the United States, there's not a single sports podcast in Spotify's Mexico or Argentina top 200 charts. Football-obsessed Brazil only has 3 charting sports podcasts. He proposes that part of this discrepancy is structural hurdles rather than cultural ones. Football, soccer in this context, is the dominant sport compared to the diversified sports ecosystem of the United States, limiting how much content local Latin American podcasts can cover in a given week. Fantasy sports, a big driver for podcasting in the U.S., is not particularly embedded in the local Latin American sports culture. Latin American sports podcasting does have a sizable opportunity to make an impact during the 2026 FIFA World Cup, as there will be global attention on soccer from cross-border audiences made up of largely younger and digital native fans. González pitches that now is the best time to start a sports podcast in Latin America, and brands looking to advertise on them will find low CPMs compared to their potential and growing audience base. Next up, Spotify launches prompted playlists for podcasts. Spotify Premium users in the United States, Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, and Sweden now have access to the beta version of Prompted Playlist for podcasts. When users hit the Create button on their Spotify app, a new option in the list allows them to open a prompt editor where they can describe their playlist idea to Spotify's in-house generative AI. The generated playlist can be tweaked to update daily or weekly on a specific day, emulating standard Spotify curated playlists. Next up, Easter eggs, bunny ears, and the reason your audience disappears by week 4. In the April 7th edition of Media Built, Steve Raisey reflects on the similarities between the intricacies of staging a satisfying Easter egg hunt and successful content strategy. He recalls a client from earlier this year who had good press and solid performance in the show's first week, but then the audience fell off a cliff. The content was strong, but Raisey identified that each episode is an island from every other episode. 2 changes independent of the content turned things around. A brief cold open to grab new audiences in the first few seconds, and an intro segment where the host and producer discuss something from the previous episode to create continuity. With that continuity, the show creates an incentive for audiences to tune in each week and go through the backlog for more context. These changes, he says, netted a 264% increase in cumulative downloads and views. And for our final top story, Audacy layoffs continue, new regional leadership structure announced. Barrett Media reports that Audacy has announced a round of layoffs in its broadcast radio arms. In addition to individual layoffs, the company is getting rid of the market manager position, rolling those duties into regional presidents, regional vice presidents, and senior vice presidents/sales leaders. According to Pod News reporting, it does not appear the podcasting side of Audacy has been impacted. As for the rest of the news, nominations are now open for the Quill Podcast Awards, marking its 5th year running. The deadline to submit nominations for the first round of voting is April 20th. The Soundwave Summit is back for its 3rd year of bringing Canada's indie podcasting community together. Saturday, May 9th, the summit will kick off with content curated by community partners across Canadian audio and media, including the Sonar Network, Black Canadian creators, and Canadaland. Daylight has announced a strategic partnership with actor Michael Rosenbaum to bring his podcast Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum and Talkville to the Daylight Creator Network. Ryan Barker, sales manager at Sports Social Podcast Network, has a new piece discussing the diversity of sports fandom and how sports podcasts capture that specific passion with host-read ads. Pierre Bouvard has a new research presentation pitching AM/FM radio as the political advertiser's solution to rising YouTube and connected TV costs during the 2026 U.S. midterm elections. Remember, I go through these stories fast, but you can click the one link in your show notes that'll take you to today's episode post on soundsprofitable.com, where you'll find every link to everything I've talked about in the episode. You can also subscribe to the newsletter version of the download while you're there. Today's episode was written and produced by myself, Molly Demillier, Brian Barletta, and Tom Webster. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis, and I'll see you tomorrow.